Shanti. Good morning, sisters.
I'm Shanti.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning. I'm Shanti Lynette Ben. Well, sorry about the confusion last week, Lynette Ben, but great to have you here this week.
Thank you. I miss these meetings. I don't want to ever miss one.
Yeah, we missed you too.
You're so good at explaining things and making things so clear in such a simple way that it sticks. So
Well,
I am not happy when I miss it.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you here. I was saying to someone said something about that to me. I can't remember whether I sent them an old recording or something like that. And I said, I think the format helps churning. So having all of you here, Delhi Janki used to love question and answer sessions. She felt it helped her to churn. So I think it's more to do with the format that creates the clarity rather than me. Mala Ben, good morning. Cicely Ben, good morning. So I wonder, I mean, people will join, as you know, bit by bit. And I wonder if any of you would like to share something. Now, Cicely Ben, last time we spoke, you were on your travels and you went to India, I think. And are you back now? And where are you? Are you back in Egypt or somewhere else?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm back in Egypt. Yes. I'm back in Egypt. Yes. I went to the Himalayas.
Yes. So would you like to share anything about your trip?
We're in the Himalayas and let me see now. What can I share? I went to a retreat. It was a retreat which was curated by the Kuwait Center. And so I'm under that. Since I'm here in Egypt, I'm under the Kuwait. And so we went to this wonderful retreat in the Himalayas. And it was just absolutely amazing. I never thought in my entire life that I'd end up going to the Himalayas, the last place on earth that I thought I'd go. It's never something that I wanted to go to. And but it was nice. It was kind of like I felt like I wasn't in India. I kept forgetting that I was in India. I remember seeing an image of Prime Minister Modi at the time. I'm saying, why is he here? And I realized I was in India. But it was just, being with the family and having that experience of being with the family. I think that to me, I felt like Baba wanted me to go to be in that kind of environment with the Brahmin family and just to enjoy every day and go on trips and share Baba's knowledge and share and enjoy each other. It was just absolutely amazing. And then I went on to, I'd met some souls on Facebook. I do a lot of social media. And I'd met these souls on social media, not just Facebook. And they, I figured since I was in India, it was an opportunity to actually meet them face to face. And they just it took them a couple of hours to get to where I was. And they had this pure desire to go to the center that serves Delhi, which, ORC, Shanti Retreat Center. And they came. They took a couple of between taxis and buses and trains and all that. They came and we had a wonderful session, which we recorded and we put it on YouTube. But it was just so lovely and so just warm and just like they were just so happy to meet me and be there at Shanti Retreat Center. And so that was nice having that experience. And then I got the opportunity. I said, okay, I'm going to go back now. And then the last day, I was able to meet with our wonderful Didi. Meet with our wonderful Didi there, and she sat with me and she shared a little bit with me. And then I came back. So I'm back now here in wonderful Egypt.
Wonderful to hear about your travels. It's Baba was talking this morning about retreats and just taking ourselves out of ourselves, out of our karmic situations. But I think you do that anyway, don't you? You're quite a free spirit in that sense.
Very free spirited, because I just see and I just ask Baba's permission. I said, Baba, is this something I believe this is something you want me to do. And I say, if it's something you want me to do, then it will happen sort of easy. It was easy. I had no problems. I got to India. Everybody was like, I had about 15 people trying to help me to get, when I went to Delhi, they were trying to, no, Mumbai, actually, because I went into Mumbai first. And they were trying to help me get a taxi, and I have very good experience whenever I go to India. Always have a good experience. So I have some very, very good karma there in India.
Yeah, wonderful. I think there's this role of taking ourselves out of our usual karmic situations and seeing how things are a bit different, feel a bit different as well. Thank you very much for sharing. And
Oh,
Ambika, yeah, sorry. Yeah, Ambika, Ben, great to see you on the screen. Sorry about the confusion last week. We did miss you. Great to have you back this week. You have to unmute yourself, sir.
I don't know what happened. If we dropped out of the group or so, I don't know what went on.
Yeah, well, some technical issue, but great to have you here. And Juliet, Ben, good morning to you.
Good morning, Shanti. Good morning.
Great to have you. Shayla, Ben, good morning. Great to have you here as well. Judy, Ben, good morning. Great to have you here too. Renjin Ben's just settling in next to me, so she's also arrived. So I think most of you were either here or you might have watched the YouTube video afterwards. We're in this month of remembering Dadi Prakashvani. Many things seem to happen in August, don't they? Raksha Bandhan, Janmashtami, and then I suppose for the Brahmins, it's this great focus also on Dadi Prakashvani and thinking about souls who've become karmatik. I think that helps us. This morning, Baba was saying that don't just listen to the morally, have an aim and objective. The aim and objective is really important for progress. And we were hearing in last week's Bhog message that Dadi Prakashmani just kept focusing on becoming karmatik. And so Baba also felt he's got to help her get there and give her that experience. So we've got more souls since then, like Daddy Janki, Daddy Gulzar, who have attained that sort of level. So we're quite lucky to have that sort of example and experience. So we will read a couple more of those messages. Ranjan Ben has them in Hindi, so I'll do some translating as we go along, some interpretation as we go along. But before we get into that, I wonder if anyone would like to share anything or anything to do with Baba's knowledge that has been in your mind, that you've been churning, anything from the Moralies this week, anything from your progress. So please feel free to do that.
I was listening to Sister Mohini's Bhog message this morning, and the one that you sent. And in it, she's emphasizing Baba is making us aware more and more. Whatever we do, just give it to Baba before we do anything, before we undertake anything. To give it to Baba, it becomes easy, it becomes successful. And I think most of us forget that we should really be doing that. We go about different activities, just doing it because we know we have to, do these things and forget that Baba is there to help us. So that was a good reminder. Sometimes we should be listening to that over and over. Remember, Baba is there. We're not alone. So that was a good experience this morning, listening to that Bhog message.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of this. So I agree with you. I think that was a very important point, this concept of offering, wasn't it? It was broadening this concept of offering. And as I was listening to it, I was remembering something that someone had said to me when I was very young. I was a teenager, I think, at the time. And when you're a BK since childhood, one of the things you sometimes are told that you should be proud of is that you've never had to waste any time doing bhakti in this life. And so I sort of had that pride. And I remember once one sister saying that this is a weakness of yours, that you haven't done the bhakti. Because one of the things that is a mentality in bhakti is this concept of offering. You know, that they will, some devotees, they really have this feeling that God is giving them everything. And sometimes what happens is, because that's not really, you know, from a knowledge perspective, we know that it's drama, the soft role, it's nature, you know, it's not really Shiv Baba giving us everything in a practical way. So actually, you can have knowledge and sometimes lose some of the feelings of devotion. We've got our negative sanskars of devotion that, of course, and negative and wrong beliefs that, of course, we've got to try and eliminate from our intellect and from our personality. But there are qualities of the devotees that it seems we have to keep. And one of the questions that I had witnessed come up quite frequently at the London Centre for Daddy or for Sudesh Didi or Sister Jayanti was, why do we offer bhog? Is that not bhakti? It used to come up quite often, quite frequently. And as you're outlining that, it's almost like Baba is saying to us, don't lose this part of bhakti, in a sense. You know, don't lose that sort of devotional feeling, which is more a relation, it's more of a heart based feeling, because it's not that, like, okay, I say, for example, something comes my way. It's not necessarily that Baba actually gave me that, but it was this feeling of offering it to Baba, that, you know, this, look, without you, I wouldn't have been able to achieve this. So I think that's what was coming to my mind. And then the second was that Baba was saying, in everything. So there's the subtle taking that we can do with regards to success, with regards to praise, any type of acknowledgement, appreciation. How much do we pass that on? So one is when we're receiving something more practical and tangible, and we say, thank you, Baba. But sometimes we forget that we also got to pass on the praise. We also got to pass on the appreciation, because that is an offering as well. Sometimes Baba describes these things as, like, when they appear in the subtle region, they appear as flowers, as garlands. So when someone is having good wishes for someone else, or we're sending our love to Baba, the trance messenger sees them like as garlands or flowers around Baba's neck, or if they're offering bhog for a daddy, that they're covered in flowers or something like that. So in the subtle region, these feelings of appreciation, of praise, of good wishes, they actually appear like flowers. And so in worship, we use flowers a lot. So we should view any praise coming our, any appreciation coming our way, as if someone's given us a basket of flowers that we then have to worship our God with, that we have to pass it on to our Baba. Because when you revisit temples in India, you can purchase those little baskets with outside of the temples, and then you can give that as the offering. And that's how we should see. So I also took it on that subtle level. So I think thank you for reminding me of that. Would anyone else like to come in on that point about the offering, passing things on? Okay, thank you, sister. Would anyone like to come in with anything else?
So the passing things on, would it? Can we say it's something to do with feelings, the heart, rather than intellectual, because just churning on this point about the head and the heart. We have knowledge, etc. And Baba said, like in today's Murli, it's contained in the intellect. But then, we may have faith in there. But what is really trust versus faith? Is trust something we feel from the heart? And when there is trust, we would offer everything to the person we trust, or even to ourselves, because oftentimes we find that we have faith. And Baba always asks this question, do you have faith? Do you have nischay? He always asks. And everyone, kind of puts up their hand and say, yeah, I do. But when actually push comes to shove, is it that trust which is an issue, or is it that faith which is an issue? I was just churning on that. Just wondering whether you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think you put it nicely. I think it is that. And one of the things that we benefit from when we watch those videos of the daddies sharing their experiences since the days of Hyderabad and Karachi is really they're sharing from their heart, aren't they? What comes across very clearly is that they didn't really have much knowledge in those days. So we have to appreciate that all of these daddies, their faith is from the heart. And for them, it's that relationship with Baba that was there above everything else. That's what they prioritized. And of course, they had that particular experience in a corporeal form. And then for other Brahmins, it's the challenge of relating to the subtle form. But it is the same. It is the same thing. It is that I'm developing a relationship with my heart. And I think that's my point about the feelings of bhakti, that you see, when you're brought up as a young man in Britain, it's quite an intellectual country. And then you've got knowledge since you were young. So your whole perspective of what's right is more head-based. And I think over the years, I'm learning actually more how to relate to Baba and to everyone else, more on the basis of the heart. It's not to say that the heart wasn't loving before. However, we've got these interesting relationships inside of ourselves, haven't we, between our head and our heart. And quite often, well, they're always very mixed anyway, because we have needs of our own, selfish needs of our own. So everything is slightly is tainted. And what we're learning to do is relate more to Baba in a pure way. How do we purify the relationships that we've had with human beings by relating to Baba? I think one of the reasons why Baba focuses on giving administrative power to souls in women's bodies is, I think, the female body also lends itself more to that heart based. So the heart is like a way of thinking, that like the brain sort of is a little bit different. And I think what Baba is wanting is not just that sort of masculine, intellectual way of thinking and decision making. What he's wanting is that there is that heart-based, feeling-based way of also taking decisions too. So he values that. And I've heard him even say in one Murli that he wanted, I think it was a Murli from about 1997, 1998, where he actually says that he wanted all the teachers to reduce the number of knowledge-based classes and share more experiences of her life, because he felt that the daddies were very impactful because they were actually sharing how they were living. So there was something about their face, something about their being that convinced people that there's something there. They didn't necessarily convince people intellectually. And so he felt at that point, I don't know if it's the same now, that we'd gone too much into workshops and like quite intellectual ways of exploring. We were very good at that, but he felt that we were not sharing feelings. I've shared this story before, that Brother Ramlochan, who is the brother who manages the kitchen area, especially the VIP section in Shantivan. He used to live in Pandav Bhavan before, and he used to serve in the kitchen area and with another few things there. And in those days of the 1970s, early 80s, sometimes Bab would stay the whole night. I think particularly in the 1980s. I think there are some brothers and sisters here who might recall that. And one night, so Baba had stayed the whole night, and it would have been somewhere close to 5 a.m. the next morning. And it was probably time for Baba's chariot, the body of Daddy Gulzar, to have some refreshments. And they had kept some sort of savory and sweets, like a bhog. And so the brother, he brought this for Baba, and they gave it to Baba. And then later in the day, when him and the other brothers were in the kitchen, Daddy Janki came by, and she said to them, so the lovers of Krishna, the ones who dance supersensory happiness with Krishna, the ladies are called gopis, and the men are called gops. So Daddy came and said to them, all of you are the gops of gops. And they could tell that she wasn't meaning it in a complimentary fashion. And then she just walked off. So they were a little bit surprised, and they didn't really know what she meant. So the brother went on behalf of the other brothers later in the day to her room to just ask her what she meant. And she said that we've got this great Lord who's come to be with us, and you just offered him the food you made the previous evening. If it was me, I would have made fresh food right then and offered it hot to him. So it was jalebi that they had offered, which is that orange spirally sweet dish. And she said, you should have made that jalebi, and you should have been offering it hot to Baba. You shouldn't have a delay when the Lord has come between the food you've made and then we offer to him. That is a lack of bhavna. And so she was suggesting that the sisters there, they would have made that extra effort. But because they were brothers, they sort of went into a default of slight convenience. That was her point that she was making. Although I'm not sure that, we might have all done that. So, but Daddy was teaching that for that relationship with Baba, it does mean sometimes going the extra mile. And I remember Baba saying this on a Thursday board message, maybe back in April. It was from Shantivan. And he said in that he notices that some Brahmins, most days, they're offering just maybe some fruit, maybe something like, because people may be working, they might be busy with things. And he said in that bold message that all Brahmins once in a week have to prepare a full meal and offer it to Baba. And so there is something about making the extra efforts, like I mean, it's not just Hinduism, it's in all religions, but you'll see that food is very important. Like that has remained there in all the religions, that you could go to, say, a pilgrimage place. I'm thinking of the Sikh religion at the moment, and the Sikhs are very famous for having open kitchens, and their founder gave that direction to their religion, that anyone who comes to a Sikh temple must be fed. They must make food available. So at the Golden Temple in Amritsar, they're feeding about 100,000 every meal, every day, continuously, 365 days of the year. That's their main pilgrimage place. It's like their mother bug. And those servers, you can just imagine, the volunteers who are doing it from their heart. Baba would be giving them a return, wouldn't he? He looks after the devotees. So this, I think, is my point, that sometimes we can lose our devotional feelings because we can become very intellectual as Brahmins and very introspective. But there's a part of the motherliness of devotion that I think Baba wants us to keep. For mothers, you don't have a choice, do you, with your children? I mean, how can you say you're going to do it to your convenience? That's not how raising children works. Everything is inconvenient. That's what it means to have children. Or even if you care for anyone, everything is inconvenient. That's the meaning of caring for. So I think that is part of the relationship with Baba. It's not that we just do things when it suits us, how it suits us. Judibin, I think did you unmute yourself? Did you want to come up?
Yes, Brother Shailan, I'm so glad that we are talking about this, because how can I develop that relationship with Baba that is going to be so very effective? I did not know him in the Lokic world. I knew my grandfather, and I loved my grandfather so much. So that love that I had for my grandfather, because I knew him physically, I don't have that relationship with Baba. So, the Baba says, remember me throughout the day, remember me all the time. But how do I develop that love and that relationship with Baba when I never knew him? And I want him to be able to help me in everything I do. And I said, Baba, come with me. But then for it to work, really, really work, what do I do, Brother Shailan?
I think there are 5 things. So the first is your daily study of the morally. So, having said that we need to be from the heart, of course, as Babbitt was emphasizing this morning, the foundation is always understanding, first of all. So the more that you hear the moralities and understand them, you will get to know Baba. So sometimes you haven't met someone, and I don't know if it's the same in your countries, but in the UK, there's quite a big fashion to research past generations. And there's a very popular BBC documentary series where celebrities are taken on a journey of researching ancestors and their family tree. So quite often, we don't know our past relatives until we do the research and get to know them. And as we get to know them, we can begin to relate to them. That's what that program shows. So similarly, through the morally, first of all, we get to know Baba. So in the morally, we hear Brahma Baba talking about Shiv Baba, and we hear about Shiv Baba talking about Brahma Baba. And then both of them also talk to us about Mama. So we've got to, first of all, do it that way. And I think, so secondly, I think you might find it helpful to keep those 3 separate and relate to each of them separately. You might find that you can actually relate to Mama much more initially. The mother Jagadamba, the mother Saraswati. And she's someone who you feel more of an affinity with. And so, these are your 3 parent souls. She is there with you as an angel. Then you've got the angel Brahma, who Baba says as a soul, he is your mother. He is the mother of the clan as well. And Brahma has gone around the cycle like you have. So Shiv Baba, he doesn't have empathy because he doesn't have experience of the cycle. Shiv Baba is the ocean of knowledge, not the ocean of experience. But Brahma and Saraswati, they are oceans of experience. They have empathy. Brahma, in his life before Shiv Baba, had 5 children. He built a multi-million-pound business. He performed all sorts of devotion. Mama, she came when she was younger, but she was a Western-educated young lady, and then took a lot of responsibility within the organization. So I think they've got empathy there for us as well. So I think you can sometimes relate more with the empathy, and you've got those 2 angels with you. And then with Shiv Baba, it's hearing from Brahma Baba and Mama what Shiv Baba's like and what Baba says to us. So the third thing is remembrance increases love. Sometimes we think we got to love in order to remember, but that's not what Baba says. But Baba's mantra is remember me. And so he doesn't say love me, he says remember me. And why he says that is it's linked with today's blessing, that we have been spending our births in the tree, not with the seed. So our mind, our heart is conditioned to relate to people. It's even our worship is of a physical image, really. We've lost this ability to relate to a point of light, to an incorporeal. And even if we believed God was light, it's like an abstract, isn't it? God is light, God is nirvana. So Baba speaks many moralities about how you got to really know Shiv Baba as a conscient being, not just as light, because the home is a different light. Nirvana is different to God. And it takes that time through remembrance to begin to relate more to Shiv Baba. So I think, first of all, the relationship with Shiv Baba is really as the teacher. And if we just develop that, my daily morally, I've got to study well. What is Baba asking me to focus on? What is he asking me to do? Let me focus on those things. As Baba the teacher sees you doing that, and you're practicing your remembrance, Baba says remembrance begets remembrance. So Baba begins to remember you when you remember him. When you begin to do the things Baba is asking you to do morally, it's as if his eye begins to be drawn to you. So you will then begin to feel Baba remembering you as time moves on. Now, we have gone, Baba was talking today about this corrosive nature of Maya, and so we've got layers of rust. We've not just got alloy, the experiences mixed in the soul, but on top of the alloy, rust. And the rust is often, in my experience, our experiences of human love more than anything else, because there's so much poetry through the centuries, isn't there, of love being like a double-edged sword. It's like we can't live without love. Without love, life is like dry. It's nothing. But it's love that really hurts us as well. And a lot of our personality over the many births we've taken is actually shaped by the sorrows through love. And so we develop this conditioning. Now, Baba tells us, you are the first devotees. You are the longest devotees in the cycle. So you've also got a lot of love for God. I had met Baba personally in 1988, And he had said to me, I shared this previously before, you might remember, brothers and sisters, I'd even shared a photo of the group of me taking Toby. So this sister, I was 10 years old, and this sister had given me, it was my first time going to Madhuban, and luckily it was actually the last time Baba did the personal meeting, so I was quite fortunate. But this was a couple of times before that, so I think it was the 15th of March 1988. And the sister, she knew that if she gives me some sort of gadget, in those days you could give gifts directly to Baba. And if it's something unique, I might get more attention. So she was very kind. It was one of the like auntie figures in the London Centre. And it was this pressure sensor white robotic hand. And if you put a weight on the palm of the hand, it moved forward like it was delivering. So she gave me a big red apple. And it was as if the hand was delivering the apple to Baba. So this was about 6:30, 7:30 the next morning. So Baba had stayed the whole night. So the announcement went that you're not going to be able to come on stage and give your gifts to Baba, but you can just put the gift at the front of the stage and just walk across the floor, like in front of the stage, and just do that. Because Baba's already been here 12 years, 12 hours, he needs to get going. So that was what was happening, and I just joined the queue and I put it on stage. But then Baba called me over. So he asked for the mic to be brought back as well. And then Sister Mahini was really happy. This is the Mahini who used to live in Madhuban, Lady Prakash Vanisa's sister. So I was quite scared, to be honest. I was a 10-year-old boy, and all of this was happening. I was a bit nervous. But she just ran over and took the robot. And I thought that's it. I just walked off. Like I was just walking. And then she quickly ran over and said, no, come back. Baba's calling you. So then I went on the stage and Baba began speaking to me, and he asked for the toli as well. And he said that, so yes, this robot was then put in front of Baba on his table, and all the daddies and the didis are just looking at this robot. But Baba began talking about the apple. He said that what's the important thing here is the apple. That's the apple is making the robot move. So what's your foundation? So just as the apple makes this robot move, it's your heart overflowing with love for the Father that makes you move, isn't it? And at 10 years old, it meant nothing to me. I just nodded my head, took the toli and went. And I was just quite nervous. And so I went. But over the years, what Baba was focusing on was that you strip away everything. What is the Brahmin soul about? We are the first devotees of Shiva in the cycle. So Sister Judy, it's not true that you don't have that love for Baba. That is who you are. You are the original devotee of Shiva. But these layers of rust, the alloy, because you've been stumbling in devotion for so many births, you felt so let down by God. I can't understand why God is not helping. I can't understand. Where are you, God? Why are you not listening to? You can imagine what we've been through in the Iron Age. We see it all the time with people still in devotion, don't we? They give up. And we had this Murali this week. Do you remember the song of the Murali? O traveler of the night, don't become weary. Don't become tired. Because the reality is we all became very tired in all of this. And so it's because you've got all these layers, you are feeling you don't have the love. So this is why you got to have the remembrance. It's the remembrance cleans the rust. The remembrance cleans the alloy. So Baba says, make that remembrance. Don't give up. Once Devi Jenki, she said in the class when I was sitting there, she said, one of Shayla, she was like talking to Baba in her meditation, and Baba was like showing her something. And she said, one of Shaylan's qualities is he just never gives up. And no matter what, the ups and downs, whatever's going on, I'm going to get up from it, Vela. I'm going to sit down and listen to that morally, and I'm going to give it a go. And through there, I'm going to give it a go. And I tell you, all these decades, I'm still just I'm giving it a go. I'm going to keep toiling. And I'm not going to stop. And I tell you, that's what this is about. Because I have to go through all these layers. And as those layers keep coming out, some days I'm going to feel, Baba, look, where are you, Baba? I can't even feel you. I've made a mistake. I've let myself down. I've let Baba down. And immediately we feel distant from Baba. It's almost like a self-punishment. And I'm going to still carry on, no matter how many mistakes I've made. So, Sister Judy, you have to remember and carry on remembering. And I promise you, as those layers get cleaned away, your original love will continue to emerge. And don't think that Baba's love is not working subconsciously. He's cleaning away. So as you're remembering, he's cleaning away whether you feel it or not. As you sit in the morally, every line. So sometimes Brahmins, they sit in the morally, and like we all have those days, don't we, where we feel quite unconscious. You know, we had something's going on in our lives. We're being drained away with other things. We sit in the morally, it's as if nothing is going in. The teacher asks, what do you remember from the morally? We can't remember anything. So we just say, Baba said, remember him all day. Well, you know, we make up some point that we know Baba must have said, and we just share that point. Because actually, we were quite unconscious hearing the morally. But that doesn't mean that every point of that morally didn't go into your subconscious. You were there. Your ears were open. How do you close your ears? Your ears were open. So whether your intellect heard anything or not, your ears did hear. It went into your subconscious mind. So this is why Baba said this morning, children, don't miss a day's morning. Because even if you yourself are not catching the points will work, because every word spoken by the purifier purifies. He is the purifier, the ocean of knowledge. And so those points of knowledge seep into your subconsciousness, and from the inside, they begin cleaning. Sister Jayanti used to describe it as waves of the ocean of knowledge. And if you fall asleep on the beach, the tide comes in and the waves begin washing over you like that. So this is what Baba's morally is about. It's the ocean of knowledge spreading his waves. So what he speaks one point and a wave goes in, and then the point goes back again, and he shares another point, and the point goes back again, and then the other point, he comes back to that, the wave comes in and comes out again. And that's how the moralies work. And it's cleaning away. So it's absolutely not true that you don't have that love for Shiv Baba, the Brahmin souls. But I mean, I think the devotees are equal to us in this. I look around the world and I just see I got a lot to learn from them and how they love God. So I really do feel that for almost all souls, we have our greatest love is for Shiv Baba. But we are lost in body consciousness. So in the body consciousness is like a case. It's like we're in some sort of case that's stopping us from seeing the light, from connecting. And we got to just remove all of that body consciousness from our inside of us. And then all that's left in the end is that love for Shiva. That's who we are in our core. Remember, that's the apple that makes the robot move. And we wouldn't be bothering with all of this if we didn't have that love. So that's what keeps us going. So carry on with that. And then the final one, I would say, is develop the practice of involving Baba in your life. So sometimes we feel that, Babas were so holy that our lives are sort of unworthy of him, really, our day-to-day nonsense, So we compartmentalize Baba in our head. That when I sit with Baba, let me sit properly with Baba, let me sit in Baba's room, let me sit in my Baba's corner. But what does Baba say to us? I'm combined with you. I go where you go. I do what you do. Be a karma yogi. This is his challenge to. This is what you got to do. And I think we had a few blessings on that this week as well, about remembering the combined form. And I think it was Sundays morally where Baba spoke about remaining merged in love and increasing this practice of staying in that love of Baba. Don't try handling everything. And what I liked in that morally was Baba saying that I'm with you. So it's as if two people now can share the load. And so immediately you've only got half to do. So Baba's not saying to us, okay, go and do all your work and then come and sit with me. He's saying, I'll do it with you. The hands and feet are yours, but the help is going to be Baba's. So internally, you'll feel this increased capacity. You'll feel that your intellect is making the right decisions. And Cicely Ben was sharing at the beginning that it was as if people are lining up to help her. So, Baba will influence the drama so that you get the cooperation that you need. In that visit to Madhuban, I had had another meeting with Baba. And in that, he said to me that I was a yogi soul. And when I got older, so this was when I was 16, 17, my self-esteem was quite fragile at that time. So I was working on it. And the way that I was working on it was I was noting down anything Baba said about a yogi soul in the Moralies, because I knew that he saw me like that. And so anytime a point came up about a yogi soul, I wrote it down and put it in my bedroom wall. And for years, I had this in my bedroom wall, which is one of the blessings at the end of the Morali, that may you be a yogi soul who receives cooperation from the whole tree through loving the seed. See, I can remember it off by heart because it was on my wall. And what I learned from that blessing is linked to today's blessing, that if you love the seed, the law of the drama is the tree must cooperate with you. So in that blessing, Baba's explaining this law. Our mistake has been, we spent these births loving the branches, loving the twigs, loving the leaves, loving the fruit, loving the flowers, and we lost our connection with the seed. And life has become a struggle. But there's a law that if you love the seed, the tree must cooperate with. And if you see, like if we take the example of the religious fathers, look how much adversity they have. Does it stop them from establishing their religions? No, because they love the seed, right? They got that connection with the seed. The tree must go. So Baba's saying, now you're with the seed. So involve Baba in your life. So those are my 5 points that how I have and I continue to develop my relationship with Baba. Does anyone else have
Thank you
anything?
so much, Brother Shailan. It
Well,
really moved me.
yeah, don't ever doubt your love for God. There's absolutely no doubt. But you hear it morally after morally. Baba has no doubt about the Brahmin's love. He knows who you are. But we consciously feel it, variably, don't we? I mean, that's more to do with our consciousness needing to be purified, not to do with the love in our heart. Would anyone else like to share any suggestions on that?
Shanti, I am so glad that Sister Judy asked that question or brought about that side of it. And your churning meant a lot, because I think most of the Brahmins go through this thinking that I am, where is God? Am I doing it? Am I connecting right? So this was very, very enlightening. Thank you. And thank to Judy for asking that question or bringing that up. Thank you.
Yeah, Lynette, Ben, I was saying to you at the beginning, wasn't I? I think the format is what, because someone said to me that they took a lot of, I think they saw a video, or I sent them a video of a previous chit chat, and they said they took a lot of benefit. And I said, I think it's the format. I don't think it's me. I think the format triggers that thinking. So yeah, thank you for that question. I think what's also linked to, if you think back last month when we were reflecting on Didi Manmohini, what was coming up was her contribution to our routine. Do you remember that Didi Manmohini formalized 4 till 4:45 Amrit Vela? She said, 7 to 7:30, let's make that part of our routine, evening yoga. I think that's really crucial in this, because we as Brahmins are going to have lots of ups and downs. But I think what the daddies have realized is that if they give us a set routine, that's what will keep us going. So when you're not feeling it, get up. When you're not feeling it, read the morning, hear the morning. Just go, just attend, even if it's through Zoom, just sit there. Even when you're not feeling it, 7 o'clock in the evening or 8 o'clock, whenever you get time in the evening, just sit for half an hour. I like to put on a commentary. I find commentaries really helpful, particularly when I'm not feeling it, because someone else sort of, their thoughts sort of take me into that space. So use those YouTube commentaries. There's so many nice ones around. There's also a new YouTube channel that I came across recently called Raj Yoga Visuals. Raj Yoga Visuals. And the brothers and sisters in Madhuban, they're creating some really wonderful visuals that I found really beautiful for helping with yoga, like Baba's Drishti, Shiv Baba in different sort of colors and light. It's quite nice to have that sort of variation. So use those. But I think this is what the daddies have realized, that they realized it from watching Baba, actually. I've heard several daddies talk about Brahma Baba just having a routine. Like you could almost set your clock by Brahma Baba. He did the same thing, same time every day. And I think that's, Baba was talking this morning about Maya's corrosive effect. And I think the first indication of the corrosion is when our routine begins to go. And Baba was talking about this slippery slope today, like 6 years, 9 years, 10 years, and then suddenly they're gone. They stop hearing them. I think it starts like this, and we begin to lose our routine. Then we feel guilty about losing our routine. And then we feel heavy about doing it. Then we doubt ourselves, and we can get ourselves into all sorts of bother. So again, I think I want to add that in. Keep your routine, no matter what. Would anyone else like to ask anything or share anything?
Shanti, it really is so important where the Murli is concerned. And to develop this love, or to have this love, I do feel that you really have to have the faith in yourself, what Baba is saying. So Baba comes and tells us who we are. And there, sometimes there are little lines within the Murli that Baba will say, this always gets me when he says it, and it develops such a feeling. And Baba says, I am yours and you are mine, and it's just the little lines that can really touch you, and it goes deep into your consciousness that what Baba is saying to you. You know, of all these souls in this world, he loves everyone, but Brahmin souls to recognize how special and how important they are. It is, and then he often says, you know, I am with you. I am with you. So it's this reminder, but this may not go deep into the consciousness until I recognize that what Baba is saying and what Baba is saying as far as who I am. And I always feel sometimes if I'm going through any stuff, you know, I remind myself that who am I? Who am I? And often in the Maurice too, he says, you know, this who am I will really be your last test that will come. And being soul, being with Baba, yes, we may not always feel Baba, but really, if we start practicing, and as you're saying, Baba knows who we are. And once we start this practice, it becomes natural. But this deep faith in what Baba is saying to me, that Baba is telling me, reminding me of his love for me and the love that I have, that originally is who I am. So yes, we may not have seen Baba physically because he's energy, but it's really, as you were tuning before, it all comes down to connection and this feeling. And at this time, we be seeing the urgency of the time, and we become so sidetracked in many areas in our life. Laziness sometimes steps in for myself, but it is really taking this routine. And as you know, Surya, I always give these classes. You know, you do things consistently, and Baba helps. And you reminded me again in this line that Baba often says, remembrance begets remembrance. And that's how we develop the connection. And that's how we can develop the feelings. Because it's not just a connection on an intellectual level, as you said, but it is this whole knowledge and this whole being in this Brahmin life is really dependent, and it's about vibrations and feelings. So that's how we develop the love. That's how we stay with Baba. And really, I think what helps, and I think Sister Judy is at a disadvantage with that, is not being with the Brahmin family. You know, the Brahmin family itself, we may have sometimes differences, we may not always agree, but the vibration and the power of the Brahmin family as a gathering really gives you a lift. And you can feel, for me, I have felt the love, no matter differences that may exist, but you feel the love and the support that is there. You know, and it really is important. And what I would advise Judy to do is that, you know, Sister Jayanti gave a class intensive last Saturday on Mavbi link. And Sister was saying, you know, she lives so much miles away from the center. And her sister is telling her, you know, you need to be at the center, but it really is not convenient. And Jayanti Ben said it so nicely, is that she remembered where her mother was in London, how many thousands of miles away from any center at the time, and Baba used to send the Murlis for them. But she also encouraged the soul, if it once or twice for the year, you make that effort and make that connection with the center, you know, for special occasion, for Rakhi, you know, because I'm sure Judy may not have had a Rakhi tied, but is to get a link with a center, and it really, really helps. It really helps. And it's just love, this love in the family, the love from God, and the love for the self is important. I'm sure.
I agree with all of that. Thank you. And you reminded me that I didn't actually share the fourth point of the five, which was listening to others' experiences with Baba. So whether it's the dailies, videos, or something like that. So as you're saying, the Brahmin family, how they are relating to Baba gives us ideas, actually. So I think that is important. So I agree with all of that advice. And you also reminded me that these last, I think Sister Mahini is bringing back some really great points, from Baba and her messages. I think it was last Thursday's one where Baba said that every Brahmin child is always in front of Baba in the subtle region. And she sort of was a bit surprised. So she said, what, all the time? And Baba said, yeah, all the time. I think we have to remember that at confluence age, I don't think he means even the ones who are Brahmins just now. I think he's meaning all the Brahmins to come as well. I think since Shiv Baba started in the 1930s or whenever he started, I think he's emerged all the Brahmins in the subtle region, and God's vision is focused on you. Now, whether we remember him that much, that's another thing, but he is totally focused on you, the Brahmin, and that's where his vision is. And then today's, well, I also heard it this morning, but it was from this Thursday's book message on the celebration of Krishna's birth. And Baba said to Sister Mahini, all children in the golden age are Krishna. So he's saying, don't just think that Brahma is going to become Krishna. Shiv Baba wants to purify you, the soul, because even now in the Iron Age, which child would you say is not precious? I mean, would you go to a child and say you are not precious? You're not. No, I mean, all children are precious, right? And that's true at the end of the Iron Age. So imagine all the Brahmins when they're born at the beginning of the Golden Age. How could they not be Krishna? Of course they are Krishna. They've had a virgin birth. I mean, it's a miracle. Just because in the Golden Age miracles are normal, we shouldn't forget that this is not normal. This is very, very special. So, he's saying that you're all Krishna. So I think that spinning the cycle of self-realization is vital, as you're suggesting there, because if we just see ourselves in the present form, we're missing what Baba's looking at. We're missing the fact that we were the original devotees. We got all that love for God. We were originally Krishna. We were, just because something has become normal doesn't mean it was natural. Because you repeat something over and over again, it just becomes normal. It becomes a habit. But Baba's saying it's not natural for you. You're naturally very pure. You're naturally very loving. You're naturally very peaceful. It's just become normal for you to be another way. Now make it normal for you to become natural again. So spinning that discus of self-realization, and then, as you say, that connection with the center. Baba said today, didn't he, that you visit Mother Ban, your stage improves. Baba's created many retreat centers now for that reason, because you can't always get to Mother Ban. So if it's possible once in a year even to attend a retreat, maybe, that could be a good way of sustaining the self. And then technology, of course, like this is helping us out, connect with the brand family. Great. Now, I'm going to suggest that we do a bit of reading, and then, of course, there'll be space for more chit-chat afterwards. So, how long is this?
One page each.
Okay, so let's read one and see where we are. So I'll hand over to Ranjan again. Although I think I'm translating it.
Om Shanti, good morning to all. Like last week we said, these folk messages we got from different sisters, those who are officially appointed and sent to get these messages. And so last week was Mohini Ben from Madhuban and Dadi Gulzar. And today we have the Mohini Ben, New York, and Vedanti Ben from Nairobi, Africa. She's, well, of course, originally from Ahmedabad in Bharat, but, At the present, she's on Baba's service in Nairobi, Kenya. And so this is the message number 3. And the date is 28th August 2007. So Dadiji became Avyakt on the 25th, and this is 28th. So number 3 Bhog message. So Mohini Bahan, New York. आज जैसे बाबा के पास वतन में पहुंची तो बाबा ने बहुत बहुत शक्तिशाली किरणों द्वारा सभी का स्वागत किया.
Today, as I reached the subtle region, Baba welcomed all of the Brahmin children with very powerful rays of power.
मैं तो वतन में गई ही, लेकिन देखा आप सभी भी जैसे वतन की ओर चल रहे हैं.
I went to the subtle region, but I noticed that all of you had also reached the subtle region in your subtle forms.
आज वतन का जो दृश्य था उसमें जैसे पहले 2 सिंहासन पर बाबा और मम्मा बैठे होते थे, ऐसे आज देखा कि बाबा और साथ में दादी जी बैठे थे.
And just as in the history hall, Brahma Baba and Mama used to sit on 2 of the gadis, 2 seats. Similarly, it was a scene in the subtle region with Baba on one seat and Daddy Prakashmani on the other seat.
दोनों के यह भव्य रूप बहुत सुंदर लग रहे थे.
Both of them seemed to be in such a splendid and beautiful form.
हमने बाबा से दृष्टि लेते हुए दादी से दृष्टि ली और कहा, बाबा दादी के निमित्त आज भोग लाई हूँ.
I took drishti from Baba, took drishti from Daddy, and then said to Baba that I brought bhog for Daddy today.
तो बाबा ने मुस्कुराते हुए दादी की तरफ देखा और कहा कि आज आपके निमित्त भोग आया है.
So then Baba smiled and then said to Daddy that today bhog has come for you.
बाबा ने कहा, देखो सभी बच्चों का ध्यान इस समय वतन की ओर है क्योंकि आप वतन में हो.
So Baba then said that, look, all the children's attention is on the subtle region because you are in the subtle region.
तो बाबा ने भोग स्वीकार किया और दादी को स्वीकार कराया, लेकिन जैसे दोनों किसी विशेष कार्य में, किसी वार्तालाप में व्यस्त है, जैसे कोई प्लानिंग चल रही है.
So Baba accepted the bhog and then he fed Daddy. And as they were accepting the bhog, I had the impression that they were busy in conversations regarding a special task.
तो मैं देखती रही तो बाबा ने कहा, दादी को व्यस्त रहना बहुत अच्छा लगता था.
And so I was just observing them. And then Baba said to me that Daddy always liked to keep busy.
दादी का कोई संकल्प श्वास ऐसे नहीं होता था जो दादी विश्व सेवा के प्रति न सोचे.
Daddy didn't even have one thought or breath where service of the world was absent.
उनको कभी ऐसा नहीं होता था कि मेरे को अपने लिए कोई टाइम चाहिए.
She never even had the thought that I need time for myself.
हम सोचते थे कि दादी थोड़ा समय विश्राम में होंगी, लेकिन दादी तो वहां भी बिजी थी.
People used to think that Daddy was resting, but actually, even at that time of resting, she was internally busy.
तो बाबा ने कहा, दादी हमेशा प्लान करती थी कि कैसे विश्व की सेवा हो, लेकिन अभी दादी डबल प्लानिंग में बिजी है.
So Baba said that Daddy was always busy and planning for how to serve the world, but now Daddy is doing a
डबल
double
प्लानिंग.
plan.
दादी को यज्ञ की पालना के साथ साथ एडवांस पार्टी का जो कार्य चल रहा है,
together with thinking about the yajna, Daddy is also thinking about the tasks that the advance party are undertaking.
यज्ञ की पालना और उसका विस्तार और दूसरी तरफ राजधानी की स्थापना में दादी का विशेष पार्ट है.
Daddy has a special role in the expansion and sustenance of the yajna and also in the establishment of the new kingdom of the Golden Age.
जैसे इतने वर्ष यज्ञ के पालना की निमित्त बनी, ऐसे राजधानी की जो स्थापना हो रही है, उसका प्लान दादी को बाबा के साथ करना है.
Just as Daddy remained the instrument to sustain the yajna for so many years, she has to also plan how to create the new Golden Age kingdom with Baba.
एडवांस पार्टी तो बहुत खुश है ही, लेकिन दोनों डबल प्लानिंग बाबा के साथ कर रहे हैं.
The advance party are happy anyway, but they're all engaged in this double planning with Baba.
तो आज के दृश्य की रूपरेखा इस प्रकार थी.
So today's scene in the subtle region was like that.
मोहिनी बेन ने कहा, दादी आपको सभी ने बहुत बहुत याद प्यार भेजी है.
I said to Daddy, everyone has sent lots and lots of love and remembrances for you.
हमें ऐसे लगता है जैसे आप सभी के दिल में व्यापक हो.
It seems to me as if you are omnipresent in everyone's heart.
दादी ने बहुत प्यार से दृष्टि देते कहा कि आपको लग रहा है कि यह बहुत बड़ा परिवर्तन हुआ है, लेकिन दादी को ऐसा नहीं लगता कि मेरा कोई पार्ट बदल गया है, क्योंकि मैं तो बहुत समय से जो भी कार्य करती थी. अल्लाह मुझे.
So, okay, do you want to just start the sentence again?
तो दादी ने बहुत प्यार से दृष्टि देता कहा कि आपको लग रहा है कि यह बहुत बड़ा परिवर्तन हुआ है.
So Daddy gave very loving drishti and said, it must seem to all of you as if there's been a big change.
लेकिन दादी को ऐसा नहीं लगता कि मेरा कोई पार्ट बदल गया है.
But Daddy doesn't have the feeling as if her role has changed.
क्योंकि मैं तो बहुत समझ से जो भी कार्य करती थी वह अव्यक्त स्थिति में ही रहकर करती थी.
Because even when I was in the corporeal form, I've had the practice over a long period of time of internally being stable in my angelic form.
इसलिए पार्ट परिवर्तन की मुझे कोई फीलिंग नहीं आई.
And this is why when I left my body, I didn't have the feeling that my role has changed.
हमने कहा, मोहिनी बेन ने कहा, हम लोगों का संकल्प है कि इस कार्य में हम भी आपके साथी कैसे बने.
And I said that we all have this thought that how can we also be your companions in this new task?
तो दादी ने कहा कि बाबा को जो भी अनन्य बच्चे हैं सबके पार्ट में परिवर्तन तो आना ही है.
So then Daddy said that whoever are Baba's special children, their role does have to transform at some point anyway.
तो जैसे दादी पार्ट बजा रही थी, ऐसे आप सभी भी अव्यक्त होते अपना पार्ट बजाओ, तो इस प्लानिंग में भी आप सभी अपना शेयर कर सकेंगे.
So you'll all be able to participate in this planning in the subtle region if while playing your role in the corporeal, internally you practice being stable in your angelic form, just like Daddy used to do.
जैसे दादी हमेशा कहती थी, बाबा यह करवा रहा है, बाबा ने यह किया.
Daddy used to always say that Baba's getting it done, Baba got this done.
तो कदम कदम पर आप लोगों को भी यही याद आएगा कि दादी ने यह सिखाया.
And so step by step, you will also have the remembrance of all the things Daddy taught you.
दादी का रूप कभी कोई पुरुषार्थ का नहीं रहा, सदा संपन्न रूप से पाठ बजाती रही.
So Baba said that you never really saw Daddy making any laborious effort. You always had the feeling that she was full inside and was making effort while being full.
इसी तरह आप सभी भी संपन्न और अव्यक्त रूप से पाठ बजाओ तो अनुभव करेंगे और क्लियर फीलिंग आएंगी कि हम भी दादी के साथ पाठ बजा रहे हैं.
So if you play your role while being full and angelic, you will have the experience as if you're playing your role with Daddy in the subtle region.
फिर जो भी सारे विश्व का बेहद परिवार है, सभी को दादी ने दृष्टि देते याद प्यार दिया और कहा जो भी मेरे सेवा साथी रहे उनको और विशेष मोहिनी बहन मुन्नी बहन को याद दी. ऐसा दृश्य देखते मैं वापस साकार वतन में आ गई.
Daddy gave drishti to all of the Brahmin family, and then especially gave special remembrance to the sisters who lived with her, Sister Mohini, Sister Muni, and I returned back with those love and remembrances.
So, Om Shanti. So, that when we read last week, message number 1 and 2, and today Daddy is teaching us, and I think most of the answers Judy Ben got as well from Dadi ji. I felt as if she was giving you answer, all of us. She's been teaching, and I just felt that somehow, that she was giving you your answer, how, because your heart, true heart, you are always asked this with your true heart, and it's cleanliness in your heart. That's why you got answer from Dadiji. And she has taught us all. दूसरा it is less than a page, actually. This was Dadi's page and this is the puppy.
Yeah.
So stay more or less. So shall I go?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is message number 4, 29th August 2007. दादी जी के निमित्त भोग तथा वतन का दिव्य संदेश वेदांती बहन.
So Sister Vedanti bringing this Bhog message for Daddy Ji.
जैसे ही बाबा ने मुझे वतन में बुलाया तो मैंने क्या देखा कि बाबा और दादी दोनों आपस में कुछ मीटिंग जैसा कर रहे थे. तो जैसे ही मैं वहां पहुंची तो मुझे दादी ने कहा आओ आप भी आकर देखो क्या हो रहा है.
As I arrived in the subtle region, it appeared as if Baba and Daddy were having a meeting. And upon seeing me, Daddy called me over and said, "Come and have a look."
मैंने कहा, वेदांती बेन ने कहा, मैं तो भोग लेकर आई हूँ. तो कहा भोग तो स्वीकार करूंगी. दादी जी ने कहा भोग तो स्वीकार करूंगी, लेकिन देखो वतन में क्या हो रहा है.
I said, "But I brought the Bhog." And so Daddy said, "I will accept the Bhog, but firstly, come and have a look what's going on in the subtle region."
तो बाबा कुछ पेपर पर निशान लगा रहे थे, लेकिन स्पष्ट नहीं था.
So Baba was writing something on paper, but I couldn't see it clearly.
दादी ने बोला मैं काफी समय से सेवा की यात्रा नहीं कर रही थी, तो मुझे सोच चल रहा था कि कुछ काम मेरा रह गया है.
Due to ill health, I wasn't able to tour around in the last little while. And so I'd had that thought in my heart that some of my service had been left undone.
तो बाबा मेरा प्लान बना रहा है कि अभी मुझे क्या क्या करना है.
So Baba is now making a plan as to what I need to do from the subtle region.
मैंने कहा दादी आपने 2 दिन में क्या क्या किया.
So I then asked Daddy, "What did you do in these 2 days?"
तो जिस दिन मैं आई बाबा ने कहा आज आराम करो. दादी जी ने कहा जवाब दिया
So the day that I arrived in the subtle region, Baba just said to me that rest. Yeah.
तो जिस दिन आई उस दिन आराम किया और कल बाबा मेरे साथ था। शांतिवन, ज्ञान सरोवर, मधुबन सब स्थानों के कोने कोने की बाबा ने मुझे यात्रा कराई। मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि सब बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है।
And then yesterday, Baba took me on the tour of all the places of Madhuban, Shantivan, Gyan Sarovar, Pandit Bhavan. And I was really pleased to see how in every corner, everything is running so well.
मैंने कहा, दादी आज आप क्या करेंगी?
So then I asked, Daddy, what are you going to do today?
तो कहा, आज का प्लान बन रहा है।
And Daddy responded that Baba's still making today's plan.
जो भी मेरे संकल्प बाकी रहे हैं वह बाबा पूरा करने के प्लान बना रहा है।
Whatever thoughts I had remaining in my heart for service, Baba's planning how to fulfill them.
बाबा ने कहा, इन दिनों में बहुत कुछ होने वाला है।
So Baba said that in these next few days, lots of things are going to happen.
बड़े बड़े साइंटिस्ट, विद्वान, बड़े बड़े लोगों के पास दादी को सब तरफ जाना है।
Daddy has to go and visit the senior scientists, the senior scholars in the world.
तो दादी ने बाबा को बिजी कर दिया है।
So Baba has made Daddy very busy up there.
दादी को बहुत फास्ट सब कुछ करना है तो वह प्लान बन रहा है।
Daddy has to do all these things really quickly, so Baba's planning for how she should do that.
फिर बाबा ने भोग तरफ नजर डाली और कहा, दादी मीठी बच्ची आपको बहुत समय से मुनि मोहिनी ने तो बहुत प्यार से खिलाया है। अभी तुम जितना समय मेरे पास हो उतना समय मैं खिलाऊंगा।
So then Baba looked lovingly at the bhog and said to Daddy that for a lot of time, Muni Ben and Mohini Ben have been making food for you and offering it to you. But for however long you stay with me in the subtle region, Baba's going to feed you himself.
फिर दादी ने कहा, मैं भी आपको खिलाना चाहती हूँ।
And then Daddy said to Baba, I also want to feed you.
तो दोनों एक दूसरे को बहुत प्यार से खिला रहे थे।
So they were both feeding each other with a lot of love.
यह दृश्य बहुत सुंदर लग रहा था।
It was a very beautiful scene.
बाबा ने कहा, बच्ची सभी दादी को बहुत याद करते हैं।
And then Baba said that, daughter, everyone remembers Daddy so much.
यह बाबा को अच्छी तरह से मालूम है और दादी को भी मालूम है।
I know this and Daddy also knows this.
दादी बहुत खुश होती है। दादी एक एक जगह चक्कर लगाती है।
And so Daddy is very happy knowing this, and she does tour around to every place.
दादी की दिल है, जितना समय दादी बाबा के पास ऊपर है उतना समय ऊपर भी चक्कर लगाओ।
And so Daddy has this thought in her heart that for however long she's up with Baba in the subtle region, she'll carry on touring around.
जितनी बार No, I think this look, it sounds as if Baba, Daddy is asking us this. We all need to go up. Look, I read it again. I think that's what it means. दादी की दिल है, जितना समय दादी बाबा के पास ऊपर है उतना समय ऊपर भी चक्कर लगाओ। What does that mean? Is it asking us or?
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay, so Ranjan Ben thinks it could also be that Daddy's saying that for however long Daddy's in the subtle region, all of you should also practice touring up
Because
around in your subtle form. Come up to the subtle region.
जितनी बार आ सको आओ और आकर देखो बाबा और दादी दोनों वतन में क्या क्या कर रहे हैं, और अगर क्लियर बुद्धि होंगी तो टच होगा कि बाबा और दादी क्या कर रहे हैं।
And if you develop a clear intellect, you can keep coming up and down from the subtle region in your yoga, and you'll be able to observe what Baba and Daddy are doing in the subtle region.
यह विशेष समय चल रहा है जिसमें बहुत कुछ होगा.
This is a special time period when many things are going to be achieved.
उसके बाद आप बच्चों को थोड़ी मेहनत से बहुत सफलता का अनुभव होगा.
After this period of Daddy being in the subtle region, you Brahmin children will have the experience of making less effort and receiving greater success.
ऐसे करते मुझे देखकर दादी ने कहा कि दादी को मालूम है कि दुनिया के बहुत कोनों में दादी का जाना रह गया है.
And so after saying that, the Baba said that Daddy knows that she didn't manage to visit every country in the world.
अफ्रीका के कई कोनों में दादी नहीं गई है. अभी दादी बाबा को साथ लेकर वहां भी चक्कर लगाएंगी.
There are some parts of Africa where Daddy Prakashvani didn't manage to go in her physical form. So now she's going to take Baba with her and visit those places in Africa in the subtle form.
ऐसे कहते बाबा ने फिर ऐसा दृश्य दिखाया. Now it's the scene change.
So after saying that, Baba then showed another scene.
दादी जैसे वहां से प्लान बना रही थी और ऐसे लगा जैसे दादी कितनों से मिलने के लिए खड़ी है.
And then it was like Daddy had taken the plan that Baba had given her, and she was standing somewhere, and there were so many countless people waiting to meet her.
फिर दादी जानकी, दादी गुलजार, मोहिनी बहन, मुन्नी बहन सब आए. मुन्नी बहन दादी को इतनी जोर से पकड़ा हुआ था जो छोड़ नहीं रही थी. फिर बाबा ने उसे छुड़ाकर अपने गले लगा लिया.
And then Daddy Janki, Daddy Gulzar, Sister Mahini, Sister Muni, they all and others all appeared in the subtle region. And Muni Ben embraced Daddy so strongly, it was as if she never wanted to let go. And then Baba peeled her off and then hugged her.
फिर ऐसे लगा बाबा बहुत बल भर रहा है.
And I got the feeling as if Baba was filling a lot of power in these instruments that had to carry on looking after the yajna after Daddy.
फिर बाबा ने दोनों का, मुन्नी बहन मोहिनी बहन का हाथ पकड़कर कहा कि आप लोगों को अभी बहुत काम करना बाकी है और बाबा कराएगा.
And then Baba took both Mohini Ben of Madhuban and Muni Ben by the hand and said, "You've still got a lot of things left to do down there, and Baba is going to help you to get them done."
फिर मुख्य भाई भी नंबरवार आते रहे. फिर यह दृश्य पूरा हो गया.
And then the senior brothers also came and met Baba and Daddy, and then that scene also merged.
दादी और बाबा ही रह गए.
And there was only Baba and Daddy left then.
मैं दृष्टि ले रही थी तो दोनों कह रहे थे जाकर सबको बहुत बहुत याद देना.
And as I was taking drishti from them both, they both said, "Go back and make sure you give everyone lots and lots of love and remembrances from us."
दोनों ने मेरा हाथ पकड़ा और मैं यहाँ आ गई. ओम शांति.
Both of them held me by the hand and I arrived back down here. Do you want to say anything, Ranjana?
I think Radhi is teaching a philosophy.
So, hearing those things, would anyone like to share any reflection?
You know, Daddy Prakashvani whole life was about service. And even, even in the subtle form, that's all you realize that she's thinking of how to continue to give. And, one of the things that was reminded of is that even in the physical form, in the corporeal form, she was also, because she was able to serve, is because she was full. I was saying that she was full. And, I'm thinking, well, I know this is what is also expected of each Brahmin child as well, to be able to serve really on that level, to help with transformation and establishment of this new world, is really being able to fill the self with powers, the virtues, that you're able to do what is required to bring about this new world, to bring about golden age. So the book messages really are a really good reminder of what Baba has been telling us all the time, what is needed. And more so now needed at this hour, because we are seeing how things are happening so much faster. I remember years ago when I came into Baba's knowledge, when we did a churning class, and brothers in particular, I realized they always like to go into the science. And I remember where they were saying that the earth will get back into tilt onto an axis, I think is 23 degrees. Scientists is now saying it is happening so much faster. They recognize that it was supposed to happen, but now they're recognizing that it is happening at a faster rate than they anticipated. So, Baba, knowledge, really not, you cannot have any doubt that years ago when nothing was happening, Baba was telling us what was happening, so no one's faith should really shake where Baba's knowledge is concerned, where Baba is concerned, and where I am as a Brahmin, where my faith cannot shake as well. Shanti.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, this in 5 days' time, it's 25th. Dadiji is 15 years old. This was 15 years ago, 2007, and now this year she's 15 years old already. So I think we need to follow her teachings and what she really will help us move forward, progress.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share anything?
Shanti, Daddy Prakash was reborn, and I think she was reborn as a boy. And what Sister, she might be about 15 years, he might be about 15 years old. Sometimes you wonder, or you try to look to see where you have elevated souls, but we can't do that. Maybe he's born in a Bhakti family, we don't know. So sometimes it's it goes through my mind, where are they? And that's just my take on it right now. Thank you, Shanti.
That's right. Yes, we did. It was in 2011 when Daddy Prakash, when he had revealed that she was a boy in her next, I think it was the third son or something like that in that family, wherever she was. But of course, Brahmins have that interest to know where these souls have gone. The first one was, of course, Mama, a big deal, really, when Mama left in 1965. And there was a brother in the Yagya, Dada Anand Kishore. He was one of the original jewels of the Yagya. And I think he was Brahma Baba's brother's Anand Kishore.
No, yeah, it means brother-in-law. His wife's sister was married to Brother Anand.
So on Brahma Baba's wife's side of the family, he was related. And then he surrendered into the Yagya. I know he was a lawyer, he had a law degree. And then he surrendered into the Yagya in about 1939. And he was one of the main assistants. He was the brother who went with Daddy Prakash Muni and Daddy Ratan Muni to Japan in that early days. So he was very much always with Daddy as well, always with the Daddies, helping them set up center. And he was based in Mumbai, I think, at the time. And he had heard that a princess was being born or had been born to the Nepal royal family around that point. So he knew that Baba wouldn't, might stop him. So he had even taken out his train ticket to Nepal. He decided he was going to go and see, because he thought this must be the soul of Mama going. And someone told Didi Manmohini, who eventually did tell Baba. And then Didi spoke with him because Baba said to tell him not to go. Because one of the things that Baba feels is we should never be interfering in another soul's role in the drama. We should be, the purpose of knowledge is not for us to interfere. The purpose of knowledge is for us to observe. And so Baba deliberately does not tell us too much, because it's not fair on that soul. Like you're saying, that they're a boy somewhere, like they got their own role to play. It's not for us to just be going and confusing everything for that. They're going to naturally play their role in the drama. Just let it happen. But at some point, I suppose, things will become more clear, I suppose, as time goes on.
Om Shanti. The Bhog messages are becoming so much more urgent. I think of the word urgency, and to see how they are connecting it with science. A lot of things, when we look at science, a lot of things are happening to the sun, and science is also saying that we have 18 years left. So there's a lot of connection now with science, and it's amazing how the Bhog messages are talking a lot about science as well. That's the thinking I had as I was listening.
I always find it very intriguing that we expected in Bhakti that God would be against science, especially in Europe. There is this juxtaposition between the church and science. And science has always been considered to be man's arrogance. And we didn't expect that God would come and say that Bhakti is man's arrogance, that you shouldn't have been doing all of this nonsense. It just took you away from God. We didn't expect him. But what he says is that if you look at the drama, science emerges at the end of the Iron Age, because actually the advanced civilization is the Golden Age. And in the Golden Age, you have the purified souls from now, and you have science in its refined form. So Golden Age is actually an advanced civilization. There's a lot of speculation in the world about aliens, like an alien species coming, an advanced species coming and invading the earth. Or some people, they look back at older civilizations like the Egyptians or other ancient civilizations, and they well, how did they build all these things? Where did they get all this technology from? And some say, well, maybe an alien species, they came down, they gave them that technology, and that's how they could build these pyramids and so on. But Baba explains to us it's a cycle, in fact. So the past is just the future, and the future is the past. It goes around. And it's actually the technology from now, which then goes forwards into the future Golden Age and the Silver Age. So when Baba is remembering the scientists, he's actually saying, like we just heard, that he's sending angels to help their thinking. So there's a subtle influence on their intellect. So they're actually able to advance invention so that they become more ready for the Golden Age. And I think that's what fascinates me about the Golden Age, really. I'm not so bothered about palaces and crowns and that, but I am very fascinated as to what an advanced civilization could achieve. In the Iron Age, we're always restricted, aren't we? It's resource restrictions. there's always unintended consequences. You invent something and it always has a negative effect on something else. But in the golden age, there are no negative consequences of science. And we've got unlimited resources of nature. And we've got souls who've got a pure intellect. So you put everything together, and we've got long, no untimely death, no accidents. What's possible? What will be possible when you got all of those things coming together? So I think that's what Baba's referring to, that the advanced party, maybe some of them have gone to become these scientists, and can invent important things that are going to be needed in the future. I also think back to the start of the COVID pandemic, but it was one of the earlier bold messages, I think, from April of that year, where Baba said that a vaccine will be invented. He said that in one of the messages early on, when we were not sure. In the world, we were not sure, because these things can take years. But Baba said that the vaccine will come. And if you look at it, never in the history of vaccines has something been invented in 9 months. That is remarkable. And, I feel slightly proud that it was Oxford University, that invented that one. Others, of course, the Pfizer one in Germany. But, you look at Oxford University, quite a few Brahmins have been based there. Delhi Janki's gone there quite a lot of times. Mama and Baba had written to Oxford University way back in the 1940s, from the beginning. Baba's always thought about Oxford University, and he's saying here that he was sending Daddy off to the senior scientists. So I think even with dealing with sorrows in the Iron Age, how Baba accelerated their intellect, their processes. Otherwise, we would still be in a lockdown. Can you imagine? So I think he's trying to help alleviate some of the sorrows and also preparing for the new kingdom.
Also, when they opened the GRC, remember the message?
I do.
That Mama is.
I do. Daddy Gulzar came to do the opening of the Global Retreat Center, which is a few miles south of Oxford in a village called Newnham Courtney. And Baba said that 5 angels are going to look after the Global Retreat Center. Mama, Didi Manmahini, Daddy Didi Manmahini, Dada Vishwakishore,
and both daddies.
and both Daddy Janki and Daddy Prakash. So he said that they will be touring around that place in their angelic form, keeping everything going. So, I think that there's a very subtle inspiration. So sometimes a scientist can suddenly have an idea. And I think that might be the angelic influence that inspires them.
Om Shanti, brother.
Shanti Shalaba.
I have a quick question, if it's not too late for today. It's
Go
a
ahead.
different topic.
Go ahead.
Okay. Today's Murli churnings, where you mentioned about the taking 10 years in terms of like understanding the Murli, then another 10 years to, put in practice and things like that. So, and now that the time is short for us Brahmins who are coming into knowledge in past couple of years, how we have a chance to work on this, and what could be the best way to do it?
Daddy Janki asked that question to Brahma Baba when she came to knowledge. So the people like Daddy Prakashvani and Mama, they came to surrender in the yajna in around about October, November 1936. And I think Devi Janki came in, I think it was February 38, around that time, something like that. So she felt that she'd lost 18 months. And she went and asked Brahma Baba, what should she do to catch up? And Brahma Baba said to her, you got to read the Murli 10 times a day. And so I think, and she did it. She sat in those days, Baba had a classroom that was like old style with benches and desks. So he used to speak the Murli in that type of classroom with the chalkboard behind him. So he used to draw the cycle and things and diagrams on the chalkboard and speak the Murli that way. In those days. So Daddy used to go into that classroom, and even if she'd had a busy day, she would finish those 10 times of reading the Murli. And in those days, if they only had that, like that day's Murli, they wouldn't have had the number of resources we have now. And when I started my efforts, I was 16 years old, and I'd finished my school examinations, and you get about a 10-week vacation. And I read 10 Murlis a day. So I didn't read the same Murli 10 times, but I read 10 Murlis a day. So I look back now, and all those reading those Murlis, I think you can see it's helping me now, and Ranjan Ben's always had an interest in reading Murlis. So she likes to read them out loud. So we would sometimes sit together. We've gone through all the Murlis we read to you. I reckon we've read them 50 times, at least. Some Murlis I must have heard or read hundreds of times. So I would say it's more to do with that than the years.
And thank you.
Also, now Baba will help us. Baba said, because we don't have much time, Baba helps more, providing you have that desire and have relationship with Baba and as a teacher. And like, when a student needs help from a teacher, we have extra tuition. We do that. So have that relationship with Baba accordingly. As a teacher, as your friend, if if you like studying with your sister or with your friend, have that relationship with Baba. Baba always says, I'm available all the time, but you don't think of me first. You think of a human being like that. They probably don't have time, they don't live near you, but it takes only a second if you call Baba with that relationship and with love. Baba said, Dadiji kept that. See, Dadiji said, Baba is the one who helps me. He is the one who gets it done. So Dadiji is also teaching us, have that relationship and have that perfection in front of you.
And my point in this morning's recording was that Baba was saying about not missing a Murli, like keeping going. So if you think that Janki began all those years ago, and right until the end, she never missed a Murli. So she also thought that she's lost a lot of time, she hasn't got much time. It ended up that she had decades. But it was still the same principle, wasn't it? That you just carry on focusing on the Murli. And you make sure that you're reading that Murli till your last day. That's the main.
And also, Daddy always said there is so much strength in keeping the timetable, isn't it? Strength, niyamable hai hamesha.
Keep the routine.
She kept every time, she said. And she used to in the class, if you, I don't know, she used to, if somebody came a bit late or, she used to, and she says, fix your seat and sit in front of, as much as possible, because then Baba knows where each child is. And
when Global Cooperation House opened, I think some of you would have been there, and it's like an auditorium. And Daddy had this technique for motivating everyone to attend class, that you had to fix your seat in the class. So if you were absent, there was a big gap where you're meant to be. So everyone can see you're not there. So then everyone is keen to show their face that they're there in their seat. So this was one of the techniques she used to motivate everyone. And Sister Liban, did you want to come in just then?
Yes, I did want to say, and Ranjan Ben said it, so some of what I was going to say in regards to Baba has said, and also Baba has said that those who come last go fast. And he's also said, as Ranjan Ben said, that he will help us. And I've seen the help that he's given me to push me forward very fastly, very fast. And I know some, Brahmin souls will say, wow, you've moved so quickly. And they would say, last so fast, and that's Sicily and stuff like that. But he will do that once you connect. And because, Raj Yoga, it really does teach us to have a relationship with Baba. That's what it does. And once that relationship is forged, whatever relationship that is, whether it be mother, father, teacher, Sadhguru, whatever role that is, then we will be able to get that help in any form that it comes in. And I just want to share too, because when I went this morning, I went for a walk. I usually go for a walk and saw these two little children. They were fishing by the River Nile there. And they said, hello. They said, hello, good morning to me in English. And I said, good morning. And then they're saying, what's your name? Usual stuff. And then they looked at, and the little one said, oh, you're so beautiful. I said, oh, thank you. And she made the sign of the heart and she says, you're love and I love you. And I said, wow. And I know, see, I don't take, because we go back to what you were saying, Shailen Bhai, is that we must take that compliment and give that to Baba. And that's exactly what I did. I said, oh, Baba, that's such a lovely thing for the soul to say. So she must have felt something or saw some image of something for her to say such words. The key thing was, you are love and I love you. So
Yes,
I just wanted to
yes. Totally. Thank you for sharing and illustrating that one.
And today's Murli Baba said so few times that, children be present in front of Baba, and he cautioned us about Maya and cautioned us about keeping a good company, company of those who. So for our progress, all this is important. Accuracy, timing, keeping the timetable, and keeping good company. Then that will help us move forward quickly and progress. And also, if you say, oh, it doesn't matter, today I'm sleepy, I'm tired, I don't want to go. And that's a Maya, and that will trap you into then missing quite a few days, and then you feel guilty, and then you go. But if you just, keep the timetable, go, and then you will enjoy it more. And then you say, oh, I'm glad I came. I learned a lot and I feel good. I'm not tired anymore. So Baba was cautioning us about Maya also. That be careful, keep an eye on yourself. Otherwise Maya is going to trap you into not coming to Baba.
But I feel everyone here and that has love for the Morley, I feel very confident that everyone's going to get the where you need to be in your final stage. I don't think time is important in that. I feel confident everyone will get there. I think Baba's point is Brahmins who feel that I know it all, I know it all. That's why I was making the point about it taking time, because you should be always eager to learn and constantly reassess your understanding and deepen your understanding. And that's what the daddies are like. Daddy Janki, just always felt the Morley was brand new every day. And I think that's more like it. But I feel anyone who's just keeping going, time is the creation. You are the creator. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. And today Baba also reminded us of Bap and Samay. Remember? So this is the only time confluence age, give value that teacher has come. Baba comes specially to teach us. Baba mentioned today. And the time, this is the only time, and then every cycle it will repeat. So if you value time and give importance and remember this, Baba is here. Like some say how, but we know at this time Baba is present. And so Judy Baba is there. And for all of us, all of us. So that's it. Yeah. Thank you.
So are there any final comments before we stop for today? Well, I hope you found it a rich conversation as I did. And thank you all for your comments and questions. It really adds a lot. And I know like there's something like 100 to 200 people who watch it afterwards. So all of you who are here live, thank you, because your contributions really benefit others afterwards as well. And special greetings to those of you tuning in later on also through the YouTube video. Thanks for doing that. And if you ever have any questions, then do send them across. And we hope you can join us live at some point as well.
And we will read another. I have this pack. On another pack, I have a big fat file of Dadiji's. For some reason, there are so many messages and so many teachings. So we'll keep on reading until we can. And we'll learn a lot like we see. Last week's, remember two things, Soman and Samman. Stay in your self-respect and give respect. So thank you.
Yes, and so this week, let's practice performing actions while in the angelic form. I think that was the message.
And she kept her perfect stage in front of her.
So goodbye, everyone. Have a good week. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Om Shanti.